Hi, I'm Steve Smith, and welcome to Finding Emmaus. About 2 years ago, my friend Mike Kelsey invited me to join a men's prayer group. And thinking that my prayer life was something I didn't really want to share, I was hesitant. But my wife encouraged me to go, and it's the best decision I probably ever made. Now, the group consisted of about 30 men, of which maybe 15 were regular attendees of Price Hill Chili every Friday morning. And they were from all walks of life. There were coaches, businessmen, entrepreneurs, teachers, engineers, landscapers, broadcasters, and many more. But every one of them were dads, and in some cases, dads and grandfathers, like me. They each had their own stories and reasons for being there. But within a few months, the group adopted the name the Road to Emmaus Prayer Group. Now, it seemed fitting that each of us really were on our own road, sometimes distracted by the paces of today's life, searching for our faith, but sometimes overlooking God's real presence that could be found in others and sometimes in our own personal challenges. And that's the purpose of this video today, finding those small miracles that occur to many of us when we're in the most need. Our first interview, which we'll call Shopping at Target, takes place with one of our members, Christian James. Christian is a father of three, a husband to his wonderful wife, Kim, a brother, a nephew, an uncle, a neighbor, and a friend to many. But on December 9th, 2015, he received a diagnosis that no one really wants to hear, when his doctor told him and his wife, Kim, that he had ALS. Now, Christian and his family certainly were stunned by the news, but as Christian's mobility became more challenging, they soon found support through several astonishing little God winks or God incidences or signs that increased their faith and helped him understand that God was with them. Now, his daughter Elizabeth was particularly down one day while shopping at the Target near the University of Cincinnati, and it was here that she found the sign she was looking for.
It was probably 2-3 years after I was diagnosed, and I finally started really showing physical symptoms where my kids could physically see me struggling, physically see me having a hard time walking, using my hands, just different things like that. That the disease really started taking its effects on my body, and I knew it was difficult for them. I could see it in their eyes that it was, seeing their dad. Oh my gosh, here it's starting, it's beginning, and anybody would feel towards their spouse or their children. So she was really struggling, and she kind of was really keeping it inside. And she was at Target, and she was looking for something, and she noticed this lady in one of the aisles, and she was looking for. She went to a different aisle because she couldn't find what she was looking for. In every aisle she went in, this lady kind of appeared in the aisle. And at first she kind of thought, is this lady following me? Because I'll be telling her about how people are abducting kids for sex trafficking and different things, and be careful, she's a beautiful young girl, but careful who's around you, and blah, blah, blah. So that was kind of her first instinct. And the lady came up to her and said, you know what, you look like you need someone to say a prayer with you. Is it okay if I say a prayer with you? She's like, yeah. So she said a prayer, and she said, God loves you. Everything's going to be okay. And the lady walked away. And my daughter just started crying. And she was just completely shocked. And so she went to walk out of the store, and she couldn't find the lady, didn't see her anywhere. And she got out in her car in the parking lot and just started crying. It's like, oh my gosh, she goes, everything is going to be okay. It's going to be okay. And she called us right away on the phone. And she said, am I crazy? I need to tell you what just happened to me. And still not really sure, and told us the story. And then the lady just kind of vanished from her sight. Said, I didn't know the lady. She didn't know me. I don't know how she knew. She goes, it wasn't like I was crying or I was upset. She goes, I don't know how she knew that I needed someone to say a prayer with me. And she goes, and she did. And she was just really was blown away by either the Holy Spirit working through that lady, or it was an angel sent down. um, to just tell her, give her that little sign. And that really changed her whole outlook. She kind of came around to my wife and I's line of thinking that, it's in God's hands, it's going to be okay. Whatever happens, it's going to be okay. Just for her to have that experience, it was really one of the first times she really shared any really profound religious experience that she ever had. I think she was 19, 20 at the time. It was profound that she shared it with us. It was profound for me that she realized that gift that she received. I think most people might have just passed it off, but she realized that was such a gift that she said, God knew I needed that. He knew I needed something. I needed a sign. I needed something. I think God gives us signs all the time that we overlook because we're not looking for them. We're not willing to accept them. But she had openly said before that, I need a sign. I need someone to tell me it's going to be okay.
Now, as the disease began to play havoc with Christian, he was unable to walk without the aid of a cane, and then a walker, and eventually an electric wheelchair. Now, the wheelchair offered him additional mobility, but it would be impossible to use without a van to transport him from place to place. So he and Kim began to search for something they thought would be affordable, but they soon realized that such vans could cost as much as $100,000 for a new one, and $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 for one that was used. So knowing that his future medical bills might be high, he didn't want to put the family into debt. Now, with limited cash on hand for a van, they had no idea how they would afford such a vehicle, really at any cost. But little did they know that Christian and his family would find God's sign for that van in an envelope.
So one of my buddies ended up calling me. He said, "Hey," he said, my wife's cousin, who lives in Lexington, her husband passed away from ALS last year, and she's a wonderful person, and they had a van. Actually, he said, I don't know if they still have it, but do you want me to reach out to her? I'm like, yeah, that'd be great. Reach out. So we hooked up with her. Just a wonderful. I don't want to use her name. I don't know if she wants to have it out there, but just a wonderful, compassionate person. This was in January, February, and I found out that her husband had just passed away like in November, so it was very fresh, and with her and her family still. And he had battled ALS for several years, and so we contacted her, and she sent us pictures of the van, sent us all the information about the van, the years, the mileage, the options, everything else. So we had all that. So I looked it up online, and I kind of knew what pricings were, and so I kind of knew what the van was going to be worth, if you sold it, and we still couldn't afford it. And so it's probably like between $20,000 and $25,000 is what you could legitimately get for this van. And so I told my wife that, and she knew that, and she's like, "Where are we going?" I'm like, "I don't know. Let's just call her and let's just talk to her about it." And it's a perfect situation. And so we called her and we talked, and she just a loving lady about it. And I said, "Well, we're interested in it, but what would you want for it?" She goes, "I've been really struggling with this back and forth, what I would do with the van after my husband passed." And she goes, "You know what?" She goes, she kind of hesitated. She goes, "I'll sell it to you for $10,000. I was on the phone with her, and my eyebrows kind of raised, and I was like, And then I said, "You know what?" I go, do you know what your van is worth?" I said, "That's like a $25,000 van." And at that point, I was like, I don't want to take advantage of a woman who's emotionally still struggling. And she goes, I'm very well aware of what this van is worth. I know exactly what it's worth." She said, "But this is what my husband would want me to do. He would want me to pass this along, help out another ALS family." She goes, "I heard all about you through my wife's cousin. Great people you are." She goes, and I know what it's worth. I know you're not taking advantage of me, but I'll sell it to you for 10 grand. That's what my husband would want me to do." And I was just like, oh my God. And so I said, "Okay." I said, we'll take it. We'll take it. We'll figure out. We'll take it. And so I got off the phone, told my wife about the conversation. She's like, 10 grand. Oh my gosh. We've been looking at all these vans. They're just crazy expensive. And just what a generous offer she was making us on this. where she could get a lot more. And so we were all excited, and we kind of looked at each other, and she's like, where are we going to get 10 grand? I said, I don't know. I said, you got a good point there. Where are we going to get 10 grand? I said, I have no idea. I said, maybe I'll call her back tomorrow or next week, and I'll just say, hey, can you hold on to it for a little bit? Didn't seem like she was in a hurry. Maybe hold on to it for a month or two or something, and we can figure some things out, or, try and do something and find the money. And I said, I don't know where we're going to get it. And she's like, you know what? I think we're supposed to get this van that's going to work out. My wife said this, and I'm usually the one that's saying this. She's like, it's going to work out. I think it's going to work out. Like, I know. And so that was like on a Thursday. We had talked to her, and I told her I'd call her back on Monday, and we just thought we'd figure something out. So it was Tuesday of the next week after she offered us the van for $10,000, and we're still trying to figure out what we're going to do and how we're going to get this, but we knew we had to do it. We knew this was it, and we just felt this was the right thing, that God was saying this is the right choice for you guys. And so my wife goes out to the mailbox, and this is a Tuesday, and she comes in and she has a letter. She says, oh, your Uncle Frank sent you a letter. I'm like, he did? She's like, yeah. I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, well, why did he send me a letter? I talk to him like once a week, if not every other week, but I talk to him all the time on the phone. And it's my senior Frank, my uncle. And she says, hey, he sent you a letter. I'm like, oh, okay. And so my wife opens it up and unfolds the envelope, and her eyes kind of got big, and she's like, did you tell Uncle Frank that we need money for a van or something? I'm like, what? No. I said, I didn't really told him we're looking for a van. She's like, and I could tell she's kind of starting to get teared up. I'm like, what? So she gives me the letter, and it said, Christian, I was praying after church this weekend, and I just had this overwhelming feeling that I'm supposed to do something for you. That God's telling me I'm supposed to do something for you. That there's something that you need that I can give you, and it's some way that I can help you with what you're going through right now. And this is what popped in my head. This is what God was telling me to do. I don't know if you need this. I don't know if this helps, but this is what God was telling me that you need, and this is what I want you to have. And it was a check for $10,000. And it was just, and my wife and I just looked at each other, and we're just like, what in the world is going on? That was just absolutely just tears rolling down her face, and just absolutely blown away, just blown away. And so she's like, you better call Uncle Frank. And so I called him. He's a retired priest. It's not like he's a millionaire or anything. And I called him. I said, Uncle Frank, we got your letter and your check. Oh, good. And he kind of didn't want to talk about it. And I said, I can't accept this. I can't, what? And he says, and so I told him about the van. I said, he said, well, do you need it? Is there something that you needed? I said, yes. I said, we're looking for a van. We got this great deal. Told her story. Lady offered us 10 grand. We didn't have it. He just said, that number 10 kept popping in my head. 10. And I was praying to God. I didn't know what it meant. He says, I'm supposed to give that to you. God wants me to give that to you, so you have to take it. He said, you have to accept it, because you can't tell me, you don't understand what that just did for me, but you tell me that story. He said that God was working through me, and it just was just astonishing. There's no explanation for it. That God was working through him to work through me. So it just, I still feel guilty to stay taking his money, and he said, it's not a loan, it's not a donation, it's God told me to give this to you.
Now, when you think of a basement or rec room, certain images might come to mind. In some cases, it could be a dark and creepy place. In others, maybe visions of a pool table, a bar, or in our case, a lot of boxes that need to be unpacked for our recent move. But I don't think any of us would think that we'd find a sign from God waiting for us as we walk down the basement stairs. Well, Christian's wife, Kim, found such a sign.
years ago, my son was in grade school. They had a project. They had to do the Stations of the Cross. And they assigned 2 kids to each station. And they did a live Stations of the Cross where they dress up, make a little scene. And so one of his stations was when Jesus was carrying the cross. I don't remember which station it was. So he had to build a cross for his station. So I helped him build this makeshift cross. It was about 6 feet tall, nothing fancy, just 2 pieces of wood and nice pretty wood. So we built this cross. And it had been in my my storage room in my basement, for 6-7 years. And there was a day I came home and my wife says, and she was struggling. She was struggling with me progressing and the disease and just, as always being frustrated, going through different emotions. And she's a big believer in signs. She said, God, I need a sign. Come on, just tell me it's going to be okay. Just something. I'm just having a really bad time right now. And just tell me everything's going to be all right. And she calls me, or I came home and she says, remember that cross that you and Craig made for me? Yeah. She says, why'd you move it? I go, what are you talking about? She goes, why'd you move it? I said, I didn't move it. I said, what's going on? She goes, I went downstairs in the basement to get something. And right in the middle of the room is that cross. I go, what? She goes, it's leaning up against the wall right in the middle of the room. I said, I didn't get it out. So she called our kids right away. Hey, were you guys here? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, Mom, we know what you're talking about. And that simple little wooden cross was right there. She was the only one that went down there and saw it. And that was my sign. She says, I just need a reaffirmation from you that it's gonna be okay. I think a lot of Catholic prayers and song is about seeing. That's what seeing is. It's not physically looking at something. That's what seeing is. That you're allowing your spirit to see. And she would and that was her sign. She saw it. People always ask for signs, ask for explanations, ask for this, ask for that. And I said, you probably saw it and you missed it because you weren't willing to accept it. We all ask for it, but maybe not humbly. We're not willing to accept the sign. One, because we might not like it, might not be the answer that we wanted. But we're all not willing to accept and see it. That's what's so important.
Thanks for taking a few minutes out of your day to listen to Christian's story. And we hope to bring you many more such stories in the future. Now, we'll leave you today with perhaps Christian's most profound comments about how to find those signs that God places in our lives. Until next time, enjoy the journey.
What would you say it would be if you had to sum up your Lord's experience?
It would not have happened if I didn't have this one moment when I got there where I opened myself up to allow it to happen. And I think that's got it reflects a lot with your normal daily life of living your faith. When I first got there, I did a quickie tour with my sister of the shrine and the grotto, and it's like a half an hour quickie tour before we went there as a group, just because I'd waited to go there my whole life. So we did this real quickie tour. She knew all the spots to go look at and just to kind of see it. And we get back to the hotel room. We had like a 2-hour break before we met our group to actually start our pilgrimage. And I was just really disappointed. I've been wanting to go here for so long. Now I really wanted to come here because I'm sick, seeking something, something personal. I'm really seeking a favor. And I did a quickie tour. I saw it and it did nothing for me. I didn't feel anything. The heavens didn't open up. I didn't just say, wow, this place is amazing. It's beautiful. Nothing. I felt nothing. And I was really disappointed. And like, what am I doing here? I just left my family, went halfway around the world. And so which I don't normally do at that time yet, I knelt down at the bed and I said a prayer. And I said, okay, God, I am yours. We're going to be here for 6 days. I can't leave. I can't go anywhere. I am all yours for 6 days. Whatever you want to show me, whatever you want to give me, I will take it. I will accept it. And if it's just the honor of being here, of experiencing Lord's, if that's it, then that's fine. I'll take it. But I am yours. Show me whatever you want to show me for these 6 days, and I'll accept it. And that was the first time in my life ever, with my faith, with anything, that I've just laid myself out there and said, I'm yours. Do what you want with me. I'm humbly your servant for these 6 days. I'm yours. And I'd never done that before. And I meant it in all sincerity, in all spirituality. I did the whole week I was there, I'm yours. Whatever you're going to give me, whatever you're going to show me, whether it's just being here. And if I had not done that, if I hadn't made that, I don't even know what you would call it, that promise to God at that
submission,
moment.
isn't it?
That submission. If I hadn't submitted to Him, If I hadn't submitted to God, I would not have experienced what I did. And other people said that, well, I know why you experienced that. I'm like, why? They said, because you allowed it to happen. I'm like, you're right. I allowed it inside me. I submitted completely, totally, with all honesty and honor. I submitted myself to Him. And that's why I was able to experience what I did.